Game that goes by without a win, that is 2 in 12. 0-0 here. Jason Kanté, your immediate reflections on that overall?
Ben, look, incredibly frustrating, but it's a fair result, you know. It's hard for me to sit here now and complain about the result. It's bitterly disappointing. I felt first half we didn't do enough. I think second half much better. A number of positives in terms of personal appearance that have come out of this, Ben. Fulham are well coached, good side. They're not where they are in the league, you know, but it's not a coincidence, Ben. And we look like a team first half that have been thrown together, and you know, and it's going to take a bit of time.
Because Chelsea are a team that are a little bit thrown together at the moment.
We are. That's what I'm saying. We look like it.
We look like it because we are.
We look like that team that's been thrown together. You know, and there's a lot of positivity about today, about the last week, 3, 4, this month. But you know what? Ultimately, there's work to be done. There's work to be done. There's a patterns of play. You know, really, they didn't look like scoring Fulham, and neither did we, really. I mean, we hit the post. The game itself was dominated by 2 very good defences, you know. I don't remember, unless you can remember, a save that Kerr had to make that was...
the diving save to his right in the first half, the Pereira long shot, but yes, there weren't many.
Yeah, no,
you're right. Fofana's nearly nicked it, Kai Havertz has hit the post.
Yeah. But I felt Fulham, they deserved the point, right? But from our point of view, there has to be and there will be more to come. What we're seeing, there's a number of good performances. Mudryk was disappointing today. He's not played a lot of football.
Give him the ball, though.
No,
give him the ball, mate.
But also as well, we saw what Madueke can come on and do. You just wonder, coming off the bench to get yourself into the game, might that be how we start to see more, a little bit like we saw against Liverpool? But yeah, it's incredibly frustrating, and I want to see more. I saw second half much better, but
well, creativity and scoring goals. It's barely a goal a game. 32 goals scored in 29 all competitions for Chelsea this season.
The league, was it 20?
And
20,
in terms of blanks,
20.
Jason, so that's the 29th match we've seen there. That's 9 times Chelsea have scored nil this season. 9 out of 29 has been a nil next to Chelsea's name, and that is unusual. Yeah. And I know there's been 3 games against Man City in that and 1 against Arsenal, but still. West Ham next, Dortmund after that. That's the silverware that is very much still up for grabs. Let's talk about Enzo Fernandez for a minute. I thought he looked like he'd been playing Premier League for a while. Ben,
very good, really good. 1 or 2 stray passes. That's not the story of what he did, but you know, when a player comes, you think keep the ball every time. That's not possible.
I was impressed. Play it safe, did he?
I was impressed, Ben. I like that. I like the positivity. I like the fact that he was always looking to go forward. We'll look back next weekend. The next game, we'll do a little analysis of him. It's going to be easy. This analysis is going to be easy. He's given us lots to look at, lots to think about. And when you talk about one player in isolation, what do? There's going to be lots to his game. Long passing, short passing, going off the back and getting it, going in support the front men. There's lots to enjoy about that performance. You know, and it was a very good debut. Just disappointed we couldn't get the win.
There were several good things. Unfortunately, the result, of course, is the main thing. Ben Chilwell coming back, Reece James got an hour. Yeah, seemed to have no...
Those 2, by the way, very good.
Fullbacks.
Those 2 are important.
And we know that great stat that Jason's going to remind me of now. They hardly ever played together, but when they did, go on.
The early part of the season, and you throw me under the bus here, by the way.
Sorry.
It was last
Live
year.
TV.
They played together, and it was something like 11, like in the 6 games they played together, conceded 2, scored 17 or something like that.
That sounds about right.
And that was what they were doing, and then they both went injured, and our season, come apart at the seams. But it's not just what they do that give us that shape when you play a 3 at the back, or a 5 depending where, and the wing backs are pushed on. But it's what they give you going forward, but also defensively. It gives you both sides of it, and we missed that last season. Missed it this season. The sooner those 2 are back, fit, playing well, the better.
Should also just say that for West Ham next game, João Felix will be available to play his second Chelsea match. His first 57 minutes were absolutely brilliant, and then there was like 3 seconds that were rubbish against Fulham, of course, last time out. We don't have to play them again, thank goodness. But yeah, so tons of positives here. Reece James, Ben Chilwell, Noni Madueke, Enzo Fernandez. But the scoreline, I'm afraid, obviously a goalless one. 0-0 here. Back to you down there.
Thank you very much. Cheers, Ben. Cheers, Jason. Yeah, finished goalless at Stamford Bridge, but like the boys were saying, lots of positives to take from tonight. There's still quite a lot of optimism in the air, Zach, which again, when you kind of encapsulate before the game and you go into it, and there's a lot of reasons to be positive. I think seeing what we saw, you can certainly see why there's still an amount of optimism. There's a long way to go, of course there is. But I think we saw the start of something tonight. Yeah, it's a start. It's a start. Like, we can build on that. I think for a building block, for a stage where you're bringing in 3 or 4 different new players, Badia Shields, you mentioned earlier, feels like he's already settled in really well. I think that's a really solid start. Fair play to Fulham, man. They played really well. They made it a tough game. They had their chances. We had a few of our own. They defended well. We defended fantastically well as well. I think it was a game that, I think they could take the start. They can build on that. I'm sure Potter, if you asked him after the game, would he have taken a 0-0 or a game like that where you can build upon? It would have been. Of course, you want the win. We want the home debut goal for a Mudryk, for a Madueke, for a David Fofana, whatever it might be, David Fofana. It's a bit of a shame. However, look, I think it's something to build on, and that's what this season is all about now. That's what the rest of the next couple of games is about, building upon, and hopefully by end of February, March, after the Champions League has also happened, you're starting to see the proper Chelsea. I think it's going to take time. Yeah, you're absolutely right. There's certainly an element of that sort of beginning feel about this Chelsea team at the moment. And, we saw not only how the Fulham fans celebrated Abby, but also, to a man, every single Fulham player came over and gave Kenny Tete a big hug because he kept Mykhailo Mudryk quiet, and in the second half he had a job to do on Raheem Sterling, Noni Madueke. You have to be a 9 out of 10 when you come to Stamford Bridge as an opposition player. And to be fair to Fulham, they had 6 or 7 that were that tonight. Yeah, absolutely. You've got to give credit to them. It was a really, really difficult game for us. But we are in the early stages with so many of these players. So many of these players weren't even Chelsea players up until like a few days ago. We've got to trust the process. It is going to take time. But there were some bright sparks out there tonight. Enzo is the real deal. Yeah, we've signed the real deal. He was making some crucial tackles, and he so nearly scored. It was so nearly the moment that we'd all dreamed of before the show, Well, I mean, Madueke, I thought, had a really solid half as well. That was a really solid performance. There's a lot of positives to take from that. A lot of moments from the game where you think, cool, we can develop from that. That's not the finished article. I know people at home or whatever, rival fans, are sitting there saying, oh, Chelsea spent this amount of money and they're not good. It takes time. Things take time, man. Like, you look at everything. When Man City first brought Pep Guardiola in, and the first season wasn't as great, then it developed. Arsenal, many a times it was going wrong. Now they're top of the league. Liverpool, I know it's going a bit worse than where at the moment, but they've had their development and improvement and won the Champions League, won the Premier League. It's all about patience, I think. I think because of maybe in what we've had over the past 20 years, we are so used to, we want it now, we want it now, we want it now. You know what? I think it's going to be a season of, having to go and be patient with some of the results, but in the long term, the reward, the juice will all be worth it. Yeah, it's going to be a transitional season, isn't it? We've got to stick with the team, and the support today from everybody was absolutely fantastic. We've got to stick with the team. When this thing clicks, though, the football is going to do the talking, and people will be looking at Chelsea Football Club once again. But yeah, we've just got to trust the process a little bit. That's exactly it, isn't it? About trusting the process. Because you look at today, obviously Benoit Badiashil's only been a Chelsea player for 6 weeks, less than that. In fact, less than 6 weeks. Ben Chilwell today coming off the bench, getting some minutes back from injury. Reece James doing that as well. You're talking about Reece James and Ben Chilwell, 2 of the most influential Chelsea players, and they've been here 18 months, 2 years, 3 years, and we're still waiting for them to come back from injury. So you look at today, you've got Mudryk, Madueke, Enzo Fernandez, Badiashile, Reece James and Ben Chilwell. 7 of the 14, 15 that played today haven't played together before. Exactly, and I think people may be looking possibly a bit negatively and are forgetting how Fulham are doing this season. Yeah. Fulham are playing exceptional football. Yep. They're playing really well. You've got João Felix who comes back into the next game. The squad is only going to build together, blend together. And again, I know we keep saying patience, it takes time, but it does take time. Like, Rome wasn't built in a day, right? And so with the way that the new project is and the new era, it's going to require patience and it's going to require time. And look, if they're having those performances now,
Imagine what it's going to be like in 2 months' time, 3 months' time, when they're more used to playing with each other. When Madueke has had a full 90, when Mudryk has had a full 90, when Enzo Fernandez, who had a full 90, but has plenty more and knows exactly. I mentioned it in the half-time studio, knowing what each other are going to do, knowing what each other want to do. I mean, Madueke had a header down across, putting it into the box. In another day, maybe Fofana knows that's what he's going to try and do next time. It takes a bit of time. Look, not in comparison. I've played when a ringer turns up in five-a-side, you got no idea. You got no idea.
It's true, isn't it? You just I have no idea, how you play. And you mentioned the injuries. When Reece James and Ben Chilwell are at their best, they were the point of difference for us, in the league, and people kind of looking to us. So they're already just back to it. Let's also give them time. But the depth of the squad again is nearly there. So we're going to be back to it in no time.
And I'll tell you how you can tell this was a good result as well. The Fulham fans were praying for a draw, praying for a 0-0. Of course, look, they're away. It's Fulham. They've done incredibly well this season, going above and beyond what they expected. But the fact that they were over the moon with a draw like that, and we're coming away thinking we didn't actually play that great, shows you the levels that we expect and that we want to achieve. I think it's all positives. I think there are always a few positive outlooks you can have on this, and hopefully we build for the next game.
Absolutely, and again, not to keep emphasising the point, but the Fulham fans that you can probably still hear there's a
just
few
left,
smattering left of them, but they're celebrating Kenny Tete as one man of the match today. It was absolutely fantastic. But again, you're going to have to be fantastic coming up this season. So I'm going to put you on the spot now, Abby, okay? Because 8 days from now, just over a week away, we play West Ham United away from home. Again, a tough test always is when you go to the London Stadium. They've not been in the best of form recently, not had a great run this season in general. I'm not going to ask you to name your full starting 11 because I think we could come up with 3 or 4 different. But especially when you're looking at that front 4, probably is a 4, maybe a 3 potentially. But João Felix back into contention. Madueke had a good 45 minutes tonight. Mudryk had a good 45 minutes tonight. Raheem Sterling I thought was impressive when he came back on as well. Hakim Ziyech as well did a lot of hard yards today and again has played his part massively. Kai Havertz led the line up front. Mason Mount. Who are you picking?
That's a tough one, isn't it? Because we have so many options. Like you say, we'd be here all day probably debating it.
That's an absolute stitch-up, I'm asking you still.
I'd definitely start Enzo again. I thought what we saw from him was amazing. I mean, we kind of knew he was the real deal, but he showed that today. I thought Fofana was brilliant as well. I'd love to see him get some more minutes. He was out there making things happen. Badiashile at the back because he's so composed. Him and Thiago Silva are becoming quite the partnership, aren't they? So I definitely include those. How about you?
Do we look at that now, Zach? Just carrying on from that point because that's a really good point from Abby. You look at partnerships. You look at Badiashile and Thiago Silva. Enzo Fernandez will at some point have a partnership in the middle of the park, whether that's a 2 or a 3. You've still got Mateo Kovacic to come back at some point. N'Golo Kanté as well. So. Is that something that you need to pick up on in terms of you start building those partnerships? Because let's be brutally honest, top 4 is going to be a big ask this season, so you're almost got a little bit of a free hit at it. Chelsea will still get a number of points for the end of the season and probably be in the top 6 or 7. You'd hope so anyway. So is it a case of trying to build those partnerships that are going to be longer term for Chelsea Football Club?
Yeah, I mean the aim. I think the aim at the end of the day is still going to be trying to do as best we can, try and get top 4. I think the rest of the season is about kind of developing and building on players and figuring out, okay, this is the future of the squad. This is what we want to see. Trying out this formation, that formation. We've now gone to a 4 at the back. Felt like forever we were playing 3 at the back, and now we're suddenly playing at 4, which allows you to kind of have another man in the midfield or in the front line. And it is about kind of building partnerships. There are partnerships all over. You have your left winger, you have your left back, you have your left back, your left centre back, you have your centre mid. There are other centre mid. You have the striker and the midfielder playing behind him. There are partnerships all over the place, and the partnership isn't just 2 people. It can be 3 people. It can be 4 people, and it all just depends on how Graham Potter wants to play his football, and that'll be learnt on the training pitch as well as in these moments. Look, it's great to come away and think that okay, we've already got Badiashile and Thiago Silva playing fantastically together. They're knowing what each other do. They complement each other really well. You've got the height and physicality of Badiashile with also his pace, but also the intelligence and calmness of Thiago Silva. That is a great complement, a great partnership. But hopefully that will continue as well. Kovacic comes back. Maybe that fits Enzo amazingly. Kanté comes back. Goodness gracious, if Kanté comes back to full fitness, we are really got something on our hands. But I think it's all about time. It's all about time. And look, with the way football is, people want results here all the time. I think you need to be a little bit patient. I know I keep stressing patience, but...
Let me ask you that, Abby, because there is an element of that. There's going to need to be patience. There's going to need to be a little bit of a long-term vision rather than short-termism and reactiveness. You look at Arsenal, the big thing that they've done, the first third of the season or half the season, wherever we are now, you could literally name 10 of the 11 week in, week out, essentially. That's going to be so important for Graham Potter to pick his 11, but then be able to pick it for 6, 7 games on the bounce if you should need to, if you should want to. How important is it, that continuity then, not just on the pitch, but like we said about partnerships, but trying to keep 11 players that are going to play every week fit, but also then keep 25 players happy?
Yeah, that's where you kind of really have to get your message across. Glue down, the starting 11, but also lean into the depth of the squad. Have these kind of power subs, and we've got plenty of them. But these partnerships that we've been talking about, they take time. Great partnerships where you literally know where the player's going to be. You've kind of just got this telepathic connection. That is going to take time, but it will happen. And with the players that we currently have in the squad, when we're there, boy, are people going to be talking about it.
That's the key thing, isn't it? It's big that we've got a big, strong squad. We're going to need to lean on it because still in the Champions League, Dortmund home and away, then fixture congestion is really going to start piling up as well because you forget it's a congested season as it is. Champions League final 10th of June, just saying. There's a little bit of it though, isn't there? Chelsea do tend to function
I joked in our group chat
time.
saying, look, the way this season's been, we win the Champions League, because that's kind of what the history's always been. Something crazy happens in the league or domestically, and Chelsea go on having a stormer in Europe. Yeah. And you know what? Why not have that belief? Like, that's the thing. That's the beauty of European competitions. That's something you can actually also get the team to build around. Look, you mentioned earlier how tough it's going to be to get top 4. I still think that is going to be a target for the team. No one's going to just say, no, OK, we'll see what happens. They're going to be targeting it. But if you have a good run in the Champions League, you can build upon that. And hopefully those results happen and take a knock-on effect in the league. Look, Graham Potter's got a fantastic job on his hands. He's got a great future, hopefully, as well, with the players that are at his helm and the guys that he can pick. Yeah, it's going to be exciting. And look, Dortmund in the Champions League, I'm sure everybody will be trying to fight for a position to play in that game.
Absolutely right. We're here for the ride, absolutely. Let's have a little look at what's coming up over the next few days and week as well on the Fifth Stand app for you. Of course, it's a busy weekend still. Don't forget Chelsea are in WSL action on Sunday. And then next weekend, we prepare for the Chelsea men's senior team back in action. Friday afternoon, Graham Potter will be speaking to the press. And then, join us for Matchday Live, an early kick-off, Saturday lunchtime. So we'll be on air from 11:30 next Saturday morning. Make sure you mark it down and join us for it. OK, then, one word to sum up tonight, then, Abby.
Promising.
Promising. I like that, Zach.
I've said it a few times, patience. Patience, yeah. I think we need to have patience, and hopefully, what do they say? Patience is a virtue. Patience is a virtue. Lovely job.
Doesn't come naturally to me, but we'll get there, right?
Fantastic work as usual. Yeah, unfortunately not the 3 points that Chelsea had hoped so, but there's certainly an air of optimism and ambition around this football club. We cannot wait for the next weeks and months and what they're going to bring. Make sure you stick with us. It's never a straightforward ride, but it's always fun. Thank you very much for watching. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.